Today I'm very excited to have Dr. Mark Janzen join me. Mark is a professor of history at Louisiana College. Like myself, he is an Illinois native, and also like myself, a big Chicago Bears fan. We have different baseball allegiances, but, Bears fandom trumps everything else. But Mark and I are going to talk about what we've seen in the Bears, our expectations going forward, whether they're still a contender or not in this 2019 season. So thanks for watching, and here is myself with Dr. Mark Janzen talking about the Bears. Mark, it's so good to see you face to face.
Yes,
Sort of.
we are
Kind
back in business here. Ish.
Well, I wanted to talk Bears with you, but first, I have to say, I am sorry about your Cardinals. I really am. Because
I'm still bitter.
of how it went. You
Yeah,
know?
that's the part. Like, I actually thought they overachieved. I pretty much hated this team in May and June. Sports hated them.
I remember.
They were unwatchable for a while, and then they decided to do that in the NLCS. But I didn't think they were the better team. I thought they had a chance if the offense stayed hot, and they used up all their runs in the first inning of Game 5 against the Braves, apparently.
Yeah, why didn't they
And I
do
thought
that?
he managed so lackadaisically, it killed me. Like, oh, it's the Padres in June tonight. It's like, hello, it's the NLCS. What are you doing putting Wainwright out there in the 8th inning?
Well, why didn't they do that 9-run thing again? That worked really well. I would have done that again.
Yeah, that was an optimal strategy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I am sorry. Part of the problem with me is I actually know Cardinal fans now that I really like. Like, they're really good people. So
I'm sorry to do that to you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. But so it was harder to enjoy just knowing that how you must have felt after a sweep, because I know that feeling.
I mean, that's how I am with a lot of Cubs fans.
Yeah.
I don't really hate the Cubs like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Not like I hate the Packers.
Oh, amen. Cheaters. Yeah, that's a good transition to the Bears.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, where are we with them?
Oh man. Anyone who listened before is not gonna get the same version of me. I guess they're gonna think I'm flip-flopping. I'm pretty frustrated with the Bears. I mean, I still believe this team has the talent to get to the playoffs. The schedule is really pretty tough, but by the time you play some of those teams, you got maybe no Kamara, no Breeze, for example.
Yeah.
But I am so disappointed in the offense that I have a hard time not starting there. They do nothing well on that side of the ball.
They don't.
Except for Allen Robinson. They're all terrible.
What about the promises of the 2.0 or the 200 level? What do you think has prevented that? Did Nagy just overestimate his personnel, mainly the quarterback, or we know the offensive line has not played well at all, and Kyle Long's on IR now. How much do you think the play of the offensive line has had in preventing the offense from getting to that?
Other than Allen Robinson, I think it's a total team effort to be as bad as they've been offensively. But I guess I'll start with Nagy. He was my guy. I wanted them to hire him. We joked, What am I going to do? I can't piss and moan if the guy I hired sucks, because I wanted him. And he is a great leader. He's done a great job with the culture. And they're always in every game. I love how they never get blown out. It's not a trustment situation anytime soon. And I'm not giving up on him. But I would like to see the scheme get some guys open. And we haven't seen it this year. And so 2.0 seems like a farce right now. But I don't think it's fair to blame everything on Nagy or Mitch. And we can come back to him. When, football's old adage, right? Like, you're only as good as your weakest link. And I don't know if that's the line or the tight ends. My goodness, the tight ends are bad.
Yeah.
And this is a tight end reliant offense.
Right.
Chiefs, Eagles, best couple tight ends in the league. I'm not expecting anybody to necessarily be Zach Ertz or Kelsey here, but some productivity would be nice. And I've just about had enough of Trey Burton's oddities.
Yeah, that's been frustrating. But Adam Shaheen did fall forward a couple of games
and
ago.
He got
after
up.
And he yeah. So that's progress, right?
We could have had George Kittle with that pick. There's your depressing thought for the day. It's great. You want to pick a D3 guy and get cute in the 4th or 5th round, have at it. 2nd round, I'm a little salty about that one.
That was obviously this guy has potential. We don't know if he'll be any good, but he could be, maybe. I don't know.
And so is the Burton signing. He hadn't really proven that much.
But he scored the touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he threw a
or
touchdown.
threw that touchdown.
Sign him to play tight end.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing that I was thinking about this the other day and texting a couple buddies about, but when you look at the offense, you imagine you're in a meeting with the offense during the bye week, and you look around the room, right? Your quarterback still has quite a bit of potential. It's not, I don't think, being realized all the way just yet, and it's strange
Agreed.
to figure out what his experience is with only 1 year of college and then a year of Fox. He's in year 3, but is he really, right? Like, I can give Mitch this year for sure, and maybe part of next year, as long as we bring in a draft somebody somewhere probably. But the skill positions still look pretty talented. The running backs, I think, would be fine if the line was better. Even the
Yep.
line has a couple good young guys on it that aren't playing great, but there just isn't anything to work with at tight end, in my opinion, right now.
Mm.
But I think the line's the biggest culprit, to get back
Yeah.
to your initial question, because there's nowhere to run.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a table. Who did it? I don't remember who made it, but it was a Pro Football Focus maybe, or somebody. It was a QB rating under pressure, and then like it was sorted by the biggest differences, right? And so like clean pocket, Mitch is like well over 100. Under pressure, he's really low, which is interesting because he's so good on the run normally.
Yeah.
But he's not getting out and running when he's under pressure. He's just making a quick bad throw.
Mm.
And like Russell Wilson is like Jesus walking on water in all
Yeah.
scenarios right now, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
but that tells me, if the line's this bad, Mitch is going to probably struggle. And so that's frustrating. And the other thing that really kills me is we have a great defense. So now the approach is forget
Great.
developing the QB. Let's just turtle up.
Yes.
And I hate that.
Yep.
I get
I
the logic,
agree. Mm-hmm.
but it's not doing anybody any favors to just run the ball pitifully badly.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they have to extend the defense, take some shots downfield, even if Mitch's deep ball isn't always great accuracy. And then he hits the play to Gabriel against the Redskins, right? Like at some point, they got to let this thing breathe. And so I think dialing it back because your defense is good is actually, in the long run, not a good strategy at all.
Yeah, I agree. And it got fans screaming for Chase Daniel. Even former Bears
Oh, that was
screaming
brutal.
for Chase Daniel because the defense is so good and he gives you the best chance to not lose games, I guess. But I don't know. I was
No,
really disappointed in Alex Brown and Earl Bennett. And Earl Bennett actually blocked me on Twitter.
Earl Bennett's
For,
take was the dumbest take ever. Honestly,
yep.
he's. I mean, I don't know the guy or anything, so I don't want to be too hard on him. But like, this looks like a guy super desperate to break into a media career, and his takes are terrible.
Terrible. Yep.
Alex Brown looks like well, we got the dump on our starter to prefer the backup, so I'm going to continue to do that now that I'm retired.
Yeah, that's what it
Just
seemed like.
bad takes. And frankly, I'm sorry, with Hicks hurt, I don't think the defense is good enough to win you every single game with that strategy. Sometimes the offense is going to have to do its part now.
Yeah.
Which is why you have to develop one.
Go figure. Yeah, okay, so Akeem Hicks, he was out for the Minnesota game, and that looked like their best performance of the year. And they stopped Dalvin Cook without Akeem Hicks, so you think, oh my gosh, this defense is so deep, they're unstoppable. And then they play the Raiders and just get absolutely punched in the face.
Yeah, I mean, that Raiders game was awful to watch. I do think we have to start again with the O-lines there, though, where the Minnesota one's not great and the Raiders one is pretty beefy and pretty good. And then
Yeah,
you could factor
350
in,
average, I think I heard.
yeah, or 40 or whatever it is. Factor in the London thing. I think you might. Hopefully, we can kind of look at that Raiders game at the end of the year as a big giant asterisk of weird scenarios.
Hope so. Yeah.
And the Saints game will be pretty telling, I think, as far as how the defense looks.
Yeah, am I crazy for thinking the Bears win this game?
No, I think they win it because of the circumstances at this point that the Saints are dealing with more so than anything. Their defense is really good, but
Yeah.
the Bears are going to be at home where the defense has looked lights out.
They got their pride hurt last week.
They are pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
That Mitch is coming back, and who knows what that means for the offense. The Saints do have a good defense. I think it'll be probably kind of ugly. If Kamara plays, he's pretty limited. And they struggle with bigger backs anyway the last 2 years, like Frank Gore in the Dolphins game.
Yeah.
What was that? And Jacobs is a bigger back. So I think Bridgewater could beat him with Michael Thomas, I guess. But I guess I think the Bears win this game, even though I don't think they have much business beating the Saints in a normal circumstance. This is a pretty rough circumstance for the Saints.
Yep. Yeah, on the road without Drew Brees.
On the best, all the things they don't do
Oh
well.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Brees.
And they've been winning without Brees, but they're not. It's clearly not the same.
No, they're winning with
team.
defense.
Yeah,
And Bears
exactly.
offense, that's still totally possible.
Yeah.
But I think the line favoring the Bears a little bit is probably pretty much right because it's at home and
what is it?
It's like it was 3, I think.
Okay, so that's
dead even.
When you're the home team. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay.
If this was in New Orleans and they were fully healthy, it would be Saints by 6 or something at this point.
Yeah.
It's not. So I think the Bears. It's a pretty close to a must win.
Oh, breaking up. Come back, Scotty. Need more power. Hello.
Well,
I hear you now. Oh, there you go.
My internet is unstable.
I hear you. Oh,
okay.
You're frozen, but I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to live with it. I think
that's all right.
Yeah.
I'll edit that part.
Maybe next time I can get it set up to where we do this at my house.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, but no, I think that they go to 3-3 with the remaining schedule and with the division as good as it is, and the NFC West is getting 2 teams.
Yep.
That's it gets really hard to believe they're a playoff team at that point.
Especially since Green Bay keeps winning with some help from the officials. But
that was brutal.
Normally, I joke about it a lot on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, there go the refs again, helping the Packers. But
we all joke about how they hold Mac every play. But come on, we haven't dealt with in a Green Bay game anything as egregious as the poor Lions just dealt with.
Yep. So that I actually
really
I don't know if it's the first time, but I think the refs did affect the outcome of that game, and it's pretty clear, and everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, and the league's like, good, they're talking about it. No, this is not a good thing for people to be talking about. I don't know. When you got former players calling for it to be investigated.
But former Packer.
Donaghy's one of the referees.
That was Desmond Howard. A former Packer, the Super Bowl MVP, saying, oh, check the refs' bank accounts. I mean, that's bad. I know he was a Lion longer than a Packer, but still, he's forever in football lore because of his MVP performance for the Packers.
And he doesn't have an axe to grind against the Packers. Right. So former players sometimes, the reactionary tweet is a thing. But I think anyone who's basically trying to be unbiased about it knows the refs were terrible and it all favored Green Bay. And if they're just that competent, that's still a problem. Or incompetent,
I knew what you meant.
So where are we with Mitch?
Well,
elephant in the room time.
I think that if you look at last year, he wasn't afraid to run with the ball to make a play if necessary. He's not doing that this year. And I can't help but wonder if he's either been told not to do that, or if he feels like to get to that next level, he can't do that. But I think he's gone too far on the cautious side.
I agree. Green Bay is like, we wanted to make him a quarterback, and they did, and now we've just now continued to make him a pocket passer, and he's just not. Not yet, anyway. May not ever. Unless you want him to go the way of Marcus Mariota, you're going to have to let him move a little bit. That's my comp right now. Good athlete, not great quarterback. That's where we're at right now. But Mitch still has time to turn it around, and he's given us flashes I don't know that Mariota even ever gave.
No, I agree.
But I think they got to let it breathe. I keep saying that phrase, but how are you going to get a run game going when everyone only covers 5-yard passes? That basically puts them in position to cover every single run too.
And that's my question about the offensive line. Can they only get those 5-yard passes because there's someone in the backfield 2 seconds in or half?
Maybe, and if that's true, then another option is roll out your good on the run quarterback. But Kyle Long was so bad, it is not that unreasonable to think he was totally tanking the whole concept of running to the right side.
I
don't know what the deal with Leno is. I hope it's just a fluke because the penalties are crazy. And I feel like Whitehair and Daniels, because that's the center's name. It's Daniels with an S. That's not the QB.
That's not the quarterback.
Anyway, I feel like Daniels should also be playing better. Yeah, the Bears. But Daniels and Whitehair should be playing better, right? When we go back to that whole in the room thing, those are guys with potential and good years in the past, especially Whitehair and somewhat Leno last year. So But I think it's tough too if you trying to run this offense without a tight end to stretch the seam.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'd be curious for a real X's and O's guy to break down what that means for an Andy Reid offense to have trash at tight end. Because the other two famous versions of this offense don't have trash at tight end.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about looking at Mitch as? Oh, compare him to what's happened to Jared Goff with the Rams. Like that has fallen off the ledge, hasn't it? The Rams offense, and um, do you see the reason I bring that up is the Washington game. Nagy was in Mitch's ear until the 15 seconds left on the play clock.
Yeah, it was a Rams kind of thing to do.
Yeah, which when McVay and Goff did it was, oh, that's smart, that's brilliant. And then when Mitch and Nagy do it, it's, oh, when are they gonna, Mitch is clearly not learning the
Yeah,
offense.
Ben Boomer
Different sort of-
Esiason's on the score wishing that Mitch was Dan Marino or something.
Hey, I would be okay with that.
That would be fine by me.
I would definitely
Well,
be
I
okay with
think
that.
the Rams thing is really kind of fun to watch as a Bears fan, just bitter enough to want
Yep.
any rival potentially to fall so that we can be the NFC dynasty. There's my
Right.
crazy optimism for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that team's suddenly not as good as everyone thought they'd be for years, that's a good thing long term.
Yeah.
Their lines has stunk this year too. I mean, we keep coming back to this point. They're not the same because Todd Gurley's not the same. Goff, I think, was always a bit of an illusion.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
The best running back in the league for a couple years, short window, but it was there,
Mm-hmm.
with an explosive offense that was built off of going deep on play action, and he's a very accurate deep, but he's not really good at much else.
Mm.
And he's no athlete. That's the thing
Mm-hmm.
that Mitch definitely has on him.
Yep.
I wish the Bears would basically take a page out of the Seattle playbook at some point, because the ceiling, the best guy that you could realistically expect Mitch to turn into at the most optimistic, absurd level, it's not even that realistic, but in terms of skill set and style, is probably Russell Wilson, who's an MVP candidate. So, I mean, that's really setting the bar high, but he doesn't look to me like he's going to be Mahomes, because Mahomes is Brett Favre on steroids. He's throwing off his back
Right.
foot, and he's like trying to nutmeg the receiver or the defender when he throws a pass behind his back. It's like, this isn't what I want my QB to do. Honestly, it might be fun, but Wilson's good in the pocket. He's great on the run, and they have a power running game.
And he got better in the pocket, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson developed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Watson and Mahomes have just come in and been what they are, and you're trying to develop Mitch. I would take a long, hard look at the kind of things Seattle runs.
Yeah, I was very Wilson skeptical, even after he won the Super Bowl.
Totally proven it.
Yeah, he's a better quarterback now than when he went to back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, if he had the defense, it wouldn't even be a question if he'd get there again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they're still pretty good, but not elite.
Yeah.
So that's the guy that you would say, hey, maybe he can grow into this. The problem with all the stuff with Mitch is not his fault. It's being picked second draft and the first QB taken and all the stupid narratives that go with it. Yeah. And then knowing that deep down you need your number 2 draft pick to be a star, and you need him to be able to make up for deficiencies around him, and he's clearly not that player at the moment, if he's ever that player. So now what?
Yeah, and I hate to admit it, but I've gone from he'll get there, I'm not concerned about that, to, oh boy, now I'm thinking he probably won't.
But yeah, last year was a roller coaster, right? Yeah. He had a lot of great games and some really bad ones, like growing pains, right? But hey, look at that, twice as many TDs as picks, Pro Bowl alternate. And then this year he's been bad except for against one of the worst teams in the league. It's really hard to hang your hat on that. And the only solace I have is the whole offense is bad, and it's still just the 6th game coming up.
And do you think
the only thing you've got?
Do you think the fact that no? Do you think the fact that he was like the Green Bay game was bad for him? The Denver game was less bad.
Mostly game plan, clearly.
Yeah. And then the Washington game, he's good, and people start saying, okay, maybe, And
he makes one terrible throw, and then everybody freaks out.
I know.
It was terrible, but that doesn't mitigate.
It was terrible. Hey, I've seen Pat Mahomes throw a red zone interception. He had 2 bad interceptions.
He was awful Sunday. He should have thrown like 3. He should have thrown a couple against the Lions, too. Not that he's not a total stud, but I'm just saying
Yeah, I asked on Twitter. So do those almost interceptions count, or is that only Mitch?
Or is that only Mitch? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about Watson? He's complete garbage. Like Mitch versus the Rams bad against the Panthers.
Mm.
They lose 12-10.
Mm-hmm.
Next week he goes for 420 and 5
5
touchdowns.
touchdowns. Yeah.
The next week he beats the Chiefs.
Yep. But even he
I'm
wasn't.
not saying he's not. I mean, he's definitely better than Mitch right now. But
Oh,
like,
sure.
were people in Houston? I don't know. Were they freaking out after the Panthers game? Who was better in the playoff game?
That is the big one that not many people talk about. Mitch played
still
better in
has
his
potential.
game.
You just can't give up on him. Can't commit. And need an answer at the end of the year in a lot of ways. But the people who think Bill should start, they got votes on one of the score polls. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, Tyler
really?
Bray, 70-something% wanted Tyler Bray to start. Yeah. Oh.
After the loss, yeah, reaction. I mean, we're all meatballs on Sunday and Monday morning a little bit.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, right now, if the Bears are going to a Super Bowl, the quarterback will be Mitch Trubisky.
Correct.
Or it'll be whoever knows how many years from now with someone else that they just drafted.
Mm-hmm.
The in-house options suck after Trubisky.
Yep.
And he may also, but there's still a chance he's good. You know what Daniel is.
Yeah, bad. Yeah, but Daniel is bad.
Like I said to somebody on your Facebook when they were touting Daniel, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to trust, Andy Reid and Sean Payton's, 11 years of evaluations of Chase Daniel and just assume, based on those guys not seeing much and probably knowing a lot more than we do, that he's not very good.
Well, and we knew what was going to happen against Oakland based on last year. Daniel looked okay the first game and then looked like garbage the second game.
Yeah.
He looked okay against Minnesota. And then,
the pick at the end was terrible. But that game, you lost that game because your defense no-showed it.
Yeah.
I have another question for you.
Shoot.
They're human beings who play it. How much stock do you put into the 2 losses being when the team seemed to have a big head about them? I find it kind of interesting, and I'm not sure what to do with it. Coming into the season and all the hype, and then they get no offense against Green Bay.
You mean 2 losses this year?
Yeah, and then
yeah.
coming out of the stomping of the Vikings, and then they get ran all over by the Raiders. I find it kind of interesting.
Oh, I think they were unprepared for the Raiders. I don't know how much was the travel. That has to be some of it, but they don't want to use it as an excuse. That's fine. I won't.
Yeah, I mean, if he said that, would you be happy that he was like, we were tired from the jet lag?
Yeah, that would not be
a bad look.
Yeah,
but it's probably a factor.
But I think
could also go back to last year. They beat the brains out of the Bucks, come out of the bye against Miami and lay an egg.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They go on that nice little run.
Yep.
They win the crazy scheduled Thursday thing, and then lose to the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of wondering the psychological factor here.
I thought they were going to stomp the Raiders, based on how they did against Minnesota without Akeem Hicks. And then Hicks is back. I mean, he didn't last long in the game because of the elbow, but
I mean,
the Raiders were pushing them around. Yeah, the Raiders were pushing them around from the first play. Yeah. Like, they just did not look like the same defense.
No, none of them did. Roquan was terrible. I know he had 9 tackles, but he was so sluggish.
What do you think that is?
It does kind of worry you with the whole weirdness of the missed Vikings game.
Yeah. No one's saying anything, and no one can find any dirt. I heard Hub Arkish say that on the.
Is that to the Bears' culture's credit? The players aren't ratting out
the
situation. I mean, there's maybe a silver lining there, but it's kind of slim, right? I mean, we need him to be back to being who he is supposed to be.
Right. Well, he looked lost. He looked like lost on the field.
It made me think the whole mental health depression thing maybe had validity because he just looked like a guy going through the motions, which is sort of one of the things with the disease there. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it's just way too much to try to analyze.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're playing armchair psychologist about a football player.
Yeah.
Sunday, London. There's a lot of variables here.
But
I need him to be fast again.
Right. Yeah. They cannot win without Hicks and without Roquan. You know what I mean? those are two guys that you bank on being big
At some
time
point, your
playmakers, game
defense
changers. Yeah.
is going to be stretched thin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought Kwiatkowski did fine against the Vikings, but I don't trust him long term. I saw him get
I actually,
chewed up by Aaron Rodgers one too many times.
oh yeah, he can't cover. That
Yeah.
might have been the perfect game for him, though. My inner
Yeah.
Meatball after the first half with not himself, it's kind of maybe this is a good Kwiatkowski game, but I mean, then you're going to unleash the Roquan controversy for 2 weeks with the bye, right? And
Yep.
so I don't know what the answer there was, but we need him to be back to being good.
Yep.
So I have another thing we need to talk
All
about
right,
the
hit me.
Bears that I don't like.
Okay. Then we should probably wrap
We
it up.
hired an offensive guru.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we hired an offensive head coach. I really love the hire. He's great last year, coach of the year. We all love the culture. What's the scheme designed to do? We've scored 20 or less, like over half of Matt Nagy's games. What is going on here, and how do we fix it? That's the question that the season relies on. That and the Mitch question, right?
Yep. Well, my first thought is the O-line. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard to evaluate anything accurately with
Yes.
the way the O-line has played.
Yep.
So,
And I think to help them out a little bit, first you got to block better, and then I think you got to make defenses respect everything.
mm-hmm.
You got to take a couple shots downfield just to back them off.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if
Just
the line
go
gets,
ahead and do pass interference right and chuck it up there and hope
yeah,
somebody gets called for something.
especially when you're playing the Lions, do that because
Yeah. Yep.
they will get flags thrown on them.
Yep.
But now, if it gets to the point where Mitch has 4, 5, 6 seconds in the pocket and he's still, looking around, not
Oh
finding
gosh,
anyone or making bad
it's all
throws,
on him at that point.
then we'll know. Okay, it's a Mitch. It's the problem. Yeah.
We need a quarterback. No, I
Again.
think it's too early to know until they do certain things better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe they will this week. I don't know.
Get the run game. And the fact that people are starting to say, "Oh, David Montgomery is looking bad," and then maybe you moved up to get this guy. There's a defender on him when he gets the ball.
Right.
I mean, unless your last name is Peyton or Brown or Sanders, you're in trouble.
Look, Barry Sanders has the record for most games with less than 20 yards or whatever, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like even those guys, if they live in your backfield, you're just going to get shut down that day.
Right. Yep.
And I mean, I can't overstate it, even though he's a great Bear for a long time, how bad Kyle Long has been.
I know.
I mean, they just walked back every play.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
football
Saw a couple
for you.
plays of him, trying to pull on a run play, and he couldn't move. He couldn't get out there.
You see the one where he falls?
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it's so sad and funny.
It is.
I showed it to my wife, and I was like, "This looks like it could be me out there, right?" He's this big, slow, bald guy, and he's just like, and he kind of falls over awkwardly. And
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you see that play, you don't think athlete
or former All-Pro.
He's just too banged up. I'm glad they shut him down.
Yeah, it was the right move.
And I hope he just goes ahead and hangs him up and goes and joins some broadcast booth because he'd probably be a pretty funny analyst.
I think so. And
Olin Kreutz is amazing at it. I don't think anyone
really
can be dismissed.
Olin
He's
is
fantastic.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say about Kyle? I lost my thought. Oh well.
Probably all-time Bear type thing, or
well, he was on that path. Yeah. I mean, he was an All-Pro. He went to a couple Pro Bowls, but
through no fault.
I remember what I was going to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that gave me more confidence in Nagy.
Yes,
that this had to be done. Yeah, had to be done for the good of the team.
Again, leadership still excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I just need the scheme to work.
Yeah. All right. So, final thought here. Do you think the Bears take care of business Sunday?
Sunday, I will tentatively pick them.
Yeah.
Because I think at some point the Saints' run with all the injuries is going to come to an end against a good team, which the Bears I still think are not a pushover.
I agree.
And the circumstances just favor them enough that I'll take them. But I have no idea if I'm picking them for the playoffs at this point.
That was my follow-up question is we thought they were contenders before the season started. Are they contenders?
Maybe. That's such a lame answer. I would know, but Chargers don't look that scary. Eagles are kind of schizophrenic.
Yep.
Who knows what the Chiefs are going to be by the time you play them? You can definitely beat Dallas at home,
Oh yeah.
but the division is tough.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
those are going
really
to be the
don't know.
toughest games. Yep. One more against Green Bay, one more against Minnesota, two more against the Lions.
I mean, it's not
I,
necessarily that I don't think the Bears have the talent. I don't love the math,
Yeah.
especially if they lose this week, because you got an undefeated team and a one-loss team in the West, which means everybody else is fighting for one spot mathematically.
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
So you
although.
got to beat out the other NFC North team or
Mhm.
win the division, and you got to beat out the loser of the East and whoever loses the South. It's like that's
Yeah.
starting to ask a lot for a team that right now is one-dimensional. But maybe
Yeah.
the offense turns it around, and then yes, they're a playoff team if the offense turns it around.
I'm not convinced that San Francisco thing is going to keep going, though.
I think
I'm
Seattle's
real
better, but I
skeptical.
think
Oh yeah,
the
I agree.
Niners have shown they do enough things well, and that nice lead that they've jumped out to. They'll probably be at least a wild card team, just because they're
Yeah.
5-0. It's just what happens.
Yeah, probably so.
All
Hey,
right, my
Mark,
friend.
thanks so much for joining, my friend. Yeah. Wait, I got to put
Always a
my
pleasure.
yeah. There, how's it? Bears.
There you go.
Put
Now
on my-
you're looking large and in charge.
Yeah. Well, let's do this again sometime. And yeah, if you think you got a better connection, um,
Try it when I'm at home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although the books in the background are a nice look.
That is true.